Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to another exciting episode of Digital Data Podcast. I'm Cecilia Maundu. I'm a broadcast journalist. I'm a digital security trainer. I'm also a podcaster. I work at the intersection of journalism, human rights, and technology. And as you've seen, we have a series of episodes where we are interviewing female leaders who took an active part in last year's general elections. We want to know what has been the experience both on the digital platform and offline. And this episode is in partnership with Siasa Place. Siasa Place promotes the people's participation in democratic processes through research, trainings, civic education, networking, and strategic partnership. And also they have a very informative website. If you're a politician or just a common mwananchi and you want to know much about what is happening in the democracy world in Kenya, Siasa Place is your one-stop shop. So today I have a very exciting guest who I've met so many times. She has done amazing work in her community. And I would like her to introduce herself and tell us more about her because we are very curious. And thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Thank you, Cecilia. I'm glad to be here. My name is Ep4. I'm a political candidate. I was a political candidate in last year's general election. I vied for an MCA seat in Kabete, Kiambu County. It was a good journey, and we'll talk about it as we go along.
So first of all, congratulations, Zippy. I've seen the kind of work that you're doing. I've met you in so many meetings, both us talking about digital safety and how to use the digital platform.
Yeah.
I can see your energy. I can feel your energy. And people of Kabete will be lucky to have you in 2027 because 2027 you must be. So Zippy,
Yes.
what was your motivation to run for politics?
I've been in my community for such a long time and witnessed the kinds of gaps that are there in leadership. We have educational gaps, gaps with youth unemployment. And so I felt it was about time to step in and try to fill those gaps. And it was such a deliberate move for me on my side because I really wanted to go and bring substance to the people of Kabete. So I had to even go back to school and did a master's in leadership and governance so that I would be able to go and probably with drafting policies, leadership, just knowing how to move the people of Kabete from where they were to greater heights.
Congratulations on achieving your master's. I know it's
so
not
much.
an easy job. Like going to school and coming out with your papers is not a joke.
Yes.
So can you please share your experience running in the previous election? Like, first of all, the position that you chose, what motivated you? Now there are so many positions. You could have gone for women rep. You could have gone for member of parliament in that constituency. You could have even gone for governor.
Yeah.
Like, why did you choose that position?
Because my mind, even as I was doing my master's, was going back first to my community at the grassroots level to be able to fix things at the grassroots and then move upwards. So MCA, I felt, was very close to the people, and that's where most of the people are at the grassroots level. So I wanted to be in that space to be able to help them from that side. And so vying for that seat was crazy, because I had been in the community 3 years. For 3 years, I have a community-based organization. So it advances the rights of women and girls, youth. So I did a lot of projects in schools. I gave libraries. We were educating some kids in schools. So we were doing skills trainings for young teen moms. So I was in the community a lot. And so I felt that probably that was a good platform for me to be able to join now the leadership side of it. And so that's when now I decided, let me vie for the member of county assembly. And when I did, it was funny because I thought people would accept me now that they had seen me for long in the community. But number one, I was told to go vie for the women's seat because we already have a seat. Why am I fighting for this one for the men? So, and I wondered, I was asking, why is it written that the MCA seat is for the men and the women rep is for the women? So that was the first challenge that I faced. The second challenge, of course, being a young woman in politics, and I was saying, what are you going to tell us? What are you going to bring to us? You're still young. First, go and breastfeed a bit, not minding that I'm this, I'm already past that stage. But there were so many things that they were talking about, and they were not very receptive.
You see, and that's something that has been enshrined in us since we were growing up, especially us who are millennials.
Yeah.
That politics, you go into politics when you're old and you're done with the active employment. That's why they're saying you are a young woman.
Yeah.
Why are you getting into politics? Okay, aside from the challenge of patriarchy, what else? How were the women, first of all? Were they receptive? Because we know patriarchy also plays a key role when it comes to one of the major challenges that women face.
Yeah.
But how are the women? Were they receptive?
I'd say some of them were quite receptive, but others were still wondering what is a fellow woman going to tell us. And they actually put it in my mother tongue, and it sounded very bad. But they were not receptive at all. So they were like, what are you going to tell us? What is a fellow woman going to tell us? So I thought they're the ones who are going to support, because you find that women are actually more than 52% of the
And
population.
they're actually the majority of the voters.
Yes, the majority of the voters, they have a say. Because I realize even the men who are vying with were looking for these women to come and, drum up support for them. So they have so much power in their hands. And I believe that if the women held my hand, then I would go far. But shock to me, some of them were not receptive. And yeah.
But, well, I'm not making an excuse for them. But as I said earlier, it's like it has been embedded in us that it's men who can lead. So some of these women feel like, oh no, she giving her this position or helping her get this position will make her neglect her family.
Yeah.
So to avoid all that, they decide to vote for the men.
Yeah.
So Zippy, I'm just curious about your campaign strategy, especially coming on the digital platform. Did you use the digital platform to enhance your agenda?
Yes, I did. I used Facebook, and I also used WhatsApp to some extent. Politics was new to me since I'd never vied before.
You're the new kid of the block.
Yes, I was a new kid of the block, and I was bringing something new also to the table, because the people who were vying with were a bit old, and so they were not really that into the digital platforms. But once they got now wind of what I was doing, they even formed now their own WhatsApp groups, attacked me in some of them. And it was not an easy ride, because most of the times I would wake up wondering what has been written about me. What have they said today about me? You don't even know. You're so anxious. When you sleep at night, you're just wondering, oh my God, what will I read about myself in the morning? And I remember reading, someone had written that my husband, who I had been married to for quite some time, and we even have wedding photos, that he's not my husband, he's my sister's husband. Yeah. That my sister had just given me him, to work with me through the campaign period. So
the idea that you must have a man
next
for
to
you to vie.
Yes.
So you had to learn. Okay.
Yeah, I actually even now wondered, really, I had to go and look at the photos and think, okay.
Did you doubt yourself like, well?
Yeah, because, they are so convincing. It was so convincing. So I doubted myself a bit and went and asked him, are you really my husband, or what is this? But anyway, those are things that you read online. Some of them beauty with no brains, mind you, and I have a master's. So those are some of the things that I really read online.
So how did you deal with the online harassment? Because I know that is one of the things that really, one of the biggest challenges women politicians face, especially young women like yourself who are actively using the digital platform.
Yeah.
How did you manage to get past the online harassment and still go on with your campaign? Because we also know there are people who have actually dropped out of the race because they feel like, this is too much for me. So how did you manage? Because we want also somebody who is watching and who has the desire or who actually is on the seat can know how to deal with it.
Number one, first of all, before I even started now ignoring what they were saying, it really affected me. And I went to the police station one time. And when I told them what was happening, they told me, what are you doing online? Leave the platforms. If you leave the platforms, no one is going to bother you. And so I asked them, how do I leave the platforms? And I'm campaigning from there. So they don't even have the know-how on how to deal with online harassment. Because they were saying, where do we even get this person? The name that they are using is not, you can even look at the page and see that it's not an account that has been used for a long time. And so one of the things that I learned to do was ignore. I remember we had training, and thank God for those trainings for women in leadership. And I remember Honorable Waigoro, she told us that learn to ignore what is said on social media. Actually, if you don't have to go to social media, let your people handle it. Then they can tell you the important stuff that is there. And if it's not important, or they feel that it will not be beneficial to you, then just let it go. So I try to follow that. That's how I run my campaign.
And it's true. I can't emphasize that enough. Like we always advise women like yourself, like you don't have to read everything they say about you.
Yeah.
And I know it's human nature to feel curious, but hate hurts. And the more you read about it, the more it starts affecting you.
Yeah.
And that's why we always also advocate for you having a social media team.
Yeah.
And I know it's a budget, but you can decide to have volunteers during the election.
Yeah.
Let them handle the social media, but you can never avoid the online platform.
Yeah.
If anything, that's where the next generation is. That's the people you are targeting.
Yes.
So the better you have a strategy, a digital communication strategy. Also, when we come to still the issue of online harassment, okay, apart from going to the police, did you try and maybe get a lawyer or something like that?
I didn't have the budget or the financial capacity to get a lawyer. So I was doing everything just as a layman. So when I needed advice on probably signing the agreements for the party, so I'd go and get a lawyer, maybe pay him 1,000 shillings, and then he'll go through it and tell me. But I didn't have a budget of having a full-time lawyer.
Like that's very understandable, because also legal fees is not cheap.
Yeah.
How did these experiences impact you emotionally, mentally, and also professionally?
Emotionally, it was hard for even my family, because they have never been in that space before. And I remember there's a time my husband asked me, "Is it worth it? What is happening? Is it worth it?" Because you read so much about, your family, and your kids are there. They are also, tech savvy, so they are seeing what is happening. And he asked me, is it worth it? So even the emotional turmoil was there. Physically, you're tired. You're always, when you go, probably you're having a road show and you're going to climb the lorries, and everyone is touching you, hitting you, spanking you, doing just all sorts of crazy things. And so it was physically also, it was, harassment at another level that I've never, experienced before. Yeah, so it was not easy.
And my previous guest, they also said the same thing, like, you're trying to get... you're climbing the lorry, or you're getting on top of the lorry, people are touching you, and these are the same people who are supposed to help you.
Yes.
So that's also something that really needs to be discussed, because that's literally sexual harassment.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So Zippy, give us a snippet of your campaign strategy.
My campaign strategy was very simple. I started with door-to-door. I actually went door-to-door campaigns for 7 months.
Door-to-door?
Yes, door-to-door. I walked and walked. Actually, I had even turned black.
Because of the sun.
Because of the sun.
Yeah.
And then when it's cold, again, you're in the cold. So I did door-to-door every single day. And then on Sundays, I would go to churches, like 5 churches on one Sunday. So you just go to one in the morning service. So you plan yourself. And going for funerals. So because that's where you have a crowd that, you've not paid, because, when you call a crowd, you have to pay them. So you go to where you feel that there are people who are there and you can talk to them and you don't have to give them anything. So number one, I did the door-to-door, where I also did civic engagement for the people, because I realized that they don't know what the MC does. One actually told me, "No, I'm going to vote for this one because he buys me tea." And so I thought, what are you talking about? If you take that tea, has your family taken the tea? Have your children gone to school because of that tea? So I had to go educating them on why it is important to choose or to elect, good leadership, and the importance of good governance. So I did that for 7 months. Then I also did that strategy of going to the churches, going to the funerals. So I'd wait. Oh, there's a funeral somewhere. I just rush, even if I don't know the person. So you just go and you're given a chance to talk, and then now talk to them and give them your manifestos. And they were telling me, young girl, you have very good manifestos, you have very good points, but now how to party kitu? You're not giving us anything. First, give us something so that we can be able to even listen to what you're saying. So it was a challenge. Financial capability is a very huge challenge for young people in leadership, and especially women. Because sometimes you're looking at, you have some money and you're wondering, do you buy something at home or do you use it for the campaign? So it's, it's very crazy at that time.
And that brings me into my next question. We know politics can never be zero budget. How did you manage to fund yourself for all that time? You see, even when you're buying lunch for your team, when you're moving from point A to point B, that is fewer, because you can't take public transport system. You have to fuel your car and all that. How did you manage to fund yourself? All this is for the benefit of someone who is actually listening.
Yes.
And they don't have like a place they can get money from. And we know nowadays, even us as a common mwananchi, we have stopped contributing for politicians to run campaigns, because the idea is always, even when they win, they forget about us. Yes. So how did you manage to get the resources?
I thought that I would fundraise, and what you're saying is actually true. My first fundraiser, I had, I think, 15 people, and they were all from my family. So
No, but at least
I had budgeted for 100 friends, and so I got 15, which was okay, because I raised some money. But also I got a lot of help from women rights organizations that gave us materials, especially DTF, Democracy Trust Fund, Eco Network, Crown Trust. They really gave us material. So we had posters, lesos. So you're able to go to the women and give them the lesos, although they wanted unga. Yeah, they didn't want the lesos.
They wanted unga.
They wanted unga. So I did a bit of fundraisers, 2 fundraisers. Plus I had good people of goodwill just sending from what they were seeing, my work, what I've done, and what I want to do for Kabete. So I just get someone tell me, I'm sending you some money. So that's how I did it. But I think I'd advise anyone who is going into politics, just go knowing that you're going to spend a lot of money.
Of your own.
Yes. Wow. You're going to spend a lot of money.
But also, Zippy, I would also like to, us to exchange ideas. How can we also enlighten the public on this issue of unga, quote unquote? Because that's how we are electing bad politicians. Because if I have the money, I can bribe everyone and they vote for me. And then we leave good leaders out of the block. How can we educate the public on how dangerous it is for them to expect these politicians to give you something? Yes, because that, as my previous guest said, that habit has to fall. Because then if you don't have money, then you can't campaign in this country, which is very wrong. So how do we go about educating, now that you're also in the community, because you told me you're still continuing.
Yes.
What are you doing to educate the public?
Number one, they're seeing for themselves, because they elected unga, not leadership.
Yes.
And so right now they are crying. Actually, when just after the election, when the kids were going back to school, I received so very many calls. Parents telling me, my kid is going to school, I don't have money. You are the one who was talking about education. Please come and help us. And so I told them, I have no power at the moment now to help you, because I tried to tell you, I tried to educate you on, good governance and good leadership, and you didn't listen to me. So I have no power right now to be able to help you. So I think just keep talking to the people and educating them on good leadership, civic engagements, wherever they are, even if it's in the market. I usually go to the market and sit down with the women in the market and try to tell them, no, if you elect a good leader, then you're going to get this amount, these funds are going to be coming to the community. Like now there's the climate change issue. I've been educating them on the same, going to the border sheds and talking to the young people about the benefits of being plugged into that climate change debate, because they don't even know about it. So that civic education is what is going to help our people, because this is a culture that is deeply rooted into them. 50 bob, and they don't care the amount of money that you're giving
and
them.
That's the sad part. Even if you give them 1,000 bob, what will you do? Will you eat that 1,000 bob for the next 5 years?
You can't.
So I feel like of ZP, you and your colleagues have really a big task ahead of you.
Yes.
Because we don't need this. Because if we go on like this, it will be the same story all over again.
Yeah.
Because I'll come with 2 million, make it into 50 shillings, give to people. Before you know it, I'm an MCA.
Yes.
Of course, I want to recover my money.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I didn't have an agenda. My agenda was to become a leader.
That's the thing.
So when it comes to support and mentorship, because we always walk on the shoulders of those who came before us, tell us about your mentorship journey, and also if you're mentoring young women like yourself into this journey.
Okay. My mentorship journey began when I was already in politics, and I'd mentioned one young lady who really held my hand. She's Wanjiko Thega. She really helped me because I was looking at her. I actually copied what she was doing in her area, especially about branding yourself. And she did a lot of good branding. So I learned from her, and she was not mean with information, because I think she had been in politics before. So she was not mean with information, and she had really advised me, do this, do that. And people like Ep4 Network, like I told you, they really mentored me. There is Sarah Muhoya. She was very instrumental also in bringing trainings that taught us how do you position yourself in politics, how do you get security, things like those. So I was really mentored by those people. But also my mentor has been Martha Karua, who has done very well in the political arena. So I've really looked up to her, and we had a time where we went and talked, and she encouraged us to be in leadership and how to do it in the right way. Yeah, and I'm also mentoring young women. I've started a mentorship program in Kabete, and I'm starting it now from the primary schools, because I realize that we need to build courage of these young girls from even that young age, and telling them that you can do it. Sometimes we encourage our children to be lawyers, to be doctors and everything, but when it comes to politics, then
no one talks about it.
No one talks about it. So I encourage them and tell them that you can be in the political arena, political leadership, and do very well also, because you'll be able to make laws that impact where you live and your communities. So I'm really trying to mentor young people in political leadership.
And I believe so much in mentorship, because that's literally giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Make sure you're living the space better than you find it.
Yeah.
So what are your future plans?
My future plans are just vying for that seat, because I feel like nothing is happening even at the moment. I know it's been a near plus, yes, and nothing has happened. No roads, education is still down there, and I'm a passionate person in education, because I got married at a very young age with only a diploma. And so throughout the years, I've been able to go back to school, even with no funds. I just, register for school, and then the funds come later. Someone just says, I'm going to pay for you. Have that zeal to even, better yourself. So I'm going to vie, and I'm going to make sure that this time I get that seat. I was number 4. And actually the people who are telling me that you can't make it, and the people who are really paying people to muddy my campaigns, I was ahead of them. And especially one man who told me that, I don't know what you're thinking coming for this seat. We've been there before. He had been an MCA, I think, for 2 terms. And so he was trying again. And he told me, we've been there before. We've seen people like you who think that you can come and just take the space, and I defeated him, who was actually number 8. So that made me very happy.
I hope he gets to see this interview. And next time, I'm so sure you'll get it.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Yes.
So what are some of your recommendations? And also, Zippy, I would want to know, what will you do differently in your upcoming campaign in preparation for 2027? What is one thing that you will do differently that you didn't do this time?
Strategy on how to use finances. Because I didn't have that strategy. I just used my finances, especially when people now started saying that you're not giving us anything. Now I had to go out. And I had said that I don't want to give any money, but I had to do it because now everyone else was doing it. So I didn't use a strategy, that would really help me have funds up to the end, because the end matters a lot. That's what I realized, that at the end is when, everything changes. So you've been talking for all these months and all these years, but that day, 2 days to the election, is when now everything changes.
When the rubber meets the road.
Yes, that's when now there are thousands and, the 500s
Exchanging hands.
Yeah. So I'll work on my strategy, but also I'll also try to get a party that is very supportive of its candidates. Yes.
And something that has really been coming up a lot in this conversation is party politics. I would want you to also talk a bit, don't mention the party that you're in because we want to have a very neutral conversation.
Yeah.
But what do you think should be done, especially in these parties, especially major parties? Because I've had my previous guests say, like, sometimes it's the party which has a problem. It's not even the public, it's the party.
Yeah.
So what are some of the recommendations that you'd give? And how will you choose a party? Because you're saying you'll not run with the party that you are in. And we know in Kenya, we have this party. The next 5 years is gone, we have another one. So what are some of the key things you'll be looking at when you're choosing a party? Because we know a party is also very important.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I think popularity of the party, because there's a way you know that a particular party is popular, probably like 2 years to the election or 1 year to the election. And so being in that party and sticking there, number one. Also, I'd recommend for the parties to keep their word, because the party that I was in was very big on youth and women. And actually, that's why I joined, because they were talking about, empowering the youth. And you'd see that the party has youthful people, and it has women. And, they gave us so many motivational talks of what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, when we went to get our certificates, we had to pay for them an extra amount. And already we had paid like 30,000, to get into the party and for those requirements. But now, during the time for collection of certificates, we were told to cough another probably 300. People were coughing 300, 100,000. So it was crazy, because you didn't know that you were required to pay. So keeping their words. And also I'd want ORPP, the Office of Registrar of Parties, to be very keen on such issues, because they are happening right under their noses. And we tried complaining, nothing was done. So I'd want them to do better in the next election. Yeah.
Wow. You never know what is happening in the background.
Yeah.
You're just seeing candidates campaigning. Yeah. You have no idea of what they are going through. Because when you say you've paid the 30,000, which is legal, then you have to cough another 300,000, 100,000.
Yes, and it's like ransom, because now you need your certificate, to buy. Oh, so they're holding the certificate. So what was the
30,000
like
for?
It was supposed to cover all that.
And now I understand something. When you see someone being given a party certificate and they're celebrating on the street, and you're like, I thought that was obvious.
No, it's not obvious. And it's across board.
Yeah,
so I think the Office of the Registrar should do something, and also IEBC. They should look into that issue. Okay. Yeah.
So Zippy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are to the young women who want to vie, go ahead and do it. If you feel like you have that calling to be a leader in your community, just go and do it. Have resilience, because it's not easy. There are sometimes you'll feel like, no, I need to pull out, but keep going. Because if you're not the change, then who else will be the change? So it begins with you. Just have resilience, have self-belief that you can do it. If you go and stand, on the lorry and you're talking to a mass of people, just talk to them. Don't freak out, or don't, have that courage to be able to even go for, to talk in front of people, and also build yourself, be knowledgeable. Such that when you go and stand in front of people, then you're giving them substance. Like now, I'm usually called for the public participations. And I'm told, when I go there, they'll ask me, Mweshmu, what do you think? Should we do this or should we do this? So, you get that. I didn't get the seat, but I got that recognition because of my knowledge here. So build yourself, have some skills, have something of substance that you're going to take to your people, to your community.
Wow. Yeah. I really like that, especially, also we've grown up in an environment that says that politicians have no knowledge. But now we are demanding more from you people. And I
Yes.
like that when you talk about, you have to be knowledgeable so that when you go and talk about policy,
Yeah.
you know exactly what
you're
you're
saying,
talking
yeah.
about. So allow me to take a selfie because I know someday I'll see you in Bunge. So that I say, I know you.
All right. Thank you so much.
So,
Asante.
Asante Sana, thank you so much for being our guest today. We don't take it for granted. And this is on behalf of myself and on behalf of Siasa, please.
Okay, I just want to add one thing. Siasa Place really helped me in my campaigns and also after. Because, after, we never look at the after.
It's true.
So you find that you're stressed, you don't know where to begin. So Siasa Place really took us through some trainings after the losses, and Kiktanet also. I'd want to mention that they really, really helped us.
Yeah, Kiktanet is Kenya ICT Action Network, and that's where I met you so many
Yes,
times on
yes.
digital security training, on matters to do with the digital platform, online violence. So also the effort that you're putting, Zippy, it will not go unrewarded.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I needed this selfie so that when somebody says I have proof that I know her.
I know her.
So,
thank you so
asante
much.
sana.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
So that is it for our episode today. I would like to say that this episode is in partnership with Siasa Place. You heard what she said, that Siasa Place is very, very active on the matters of democracy. Most importantly, I think one thing I really like about Siasa Place is they really go above and beyond, even building a personal relationship with the politicians, making sure that they know what is matters to do with democracy. And Siasa Place promotes the people's participation in democratic processes through research, training, civic education, networking, and strategic partnership. As I said before, it is a one-stop shop if you want to know everything to do with democracy. So visit their website, follow them on their social media handles. And also don't forget to follow Digital Dada Podcast on all our social media handles, and see you on the next episode. Asante.